My husband's side piece mocked my miscarriage, so I ruined her life. My mother-in-law owned the most successful Italian restaurant in our city, 3 Michelin stars, celebrity clientele, wait list stretching months. Ever since my husband Marcus brought me home for the first time, she treated me like the daughter she never had. You understand food is love, she'd say, teaching me her secret recipes in the kitchen after hours. Marcus had grown up in that restaurant, but he'd always been more interested in the prestige than the passion. When I was 2 months pregnant with our second child, I caught Marcus with Bethany, his new sommelier. Not just an affair, they'd been together for months, meeting in the wine cellar after closing. The stress triggered a miscarriage. While I was still bleeding at the hospital, Bethany sent me photos of her positive pregnancy test with the message, "Guess there will be a baby Marcus Jr. after all." She didn't stop there. Ultrasound photos arrived at my parents' house. She tagged me in her baby shower invitation on social media, calling herself the future Mrs. Marcus Romano. She'd post photos outside the restaurant with captions about surveying my future empire. When my 5-year-old son asked why daddy didn't live with us anymore, she sent a card saying, because he's building a family with someone who can keep her babies alive. The moment that changed everything wasn't her cruelty, it was Marcus's indifference. When I showed him the messages, he shrugged. Just block her. Mom's getting old anyway. Once I inherit the restaurant, we'll rebrand everything. That's when I realized they weren't just stealing my husband. They were planning to erase our entire legacy. My mother-in-law had built that restaurant with her bare hands after immigrating with nothing. They wanted to turn it into some trendy fusion nonsense, but she was sharper than they realized. When she fell ill and became bedridden, Marcus suddenly became the devoted son, bringing Bethany and their baby around constantly. What they didn't know was that she'd already restructured everything. The restaurant wasn't personally owned, it was under a family trust. As the only legal daughter-in-law and mother of her first grandchild, I was named trustee. Every recipe, every supplier contract, even the building lease, all in the trust's name. She spent months teaching me everything while pretending to be too weak to manage things. Marcus thought he was learning the business, but she was feeding him outdated information. Wrong supplier names, old recipes, discontinued wine vintages. Bethany was already planning renovations, telling anyone who'd listen how she'd modernize that dusty old place. The reading of the will was beautiful. Marcus sat there smirking until the lawyer explained the trust structure. He'd inherit exactly $1 of family tradition for disowned children. The restaurant, the recipes, the name all held in trust for my son until he turned 25, with me as sole trustee. Bethany's face went from smug to shocked to furious. But we've been running things. I've been training the staff. The lawyer pulled out her social media posts. Actually, according to these public statements, you've been planning to gut that old place and bring it into the 21st century. The trust specifically prohibits anyone who publicly disparages the restaurant from employment there. Marcus tried to contest it, but my MIL had recordings of him saying he'd rather sell to developers than keep serving her ancient recipes. 2 years later, the restaurant is thriving under my management. I kept every tradition, every recipe exactly as my mother-in-law taught me. Marcus works at a chain restaurant in the suburbs. Bethany posts bitter reviews under fake names, but our regulars spot them immediately. She always mentions the outdated decor and boring traditional menu. The best part? Their son will never taste his grandmother's legendary ragu, never learn the secret to her perfect tiramisu, never understand why people wait months for a table. My son helps me in the kitchen every Sunday, learning the recipes that have been passed down for generations. My mother-in-law lived another 3 years after that will reading, long enough to see me win a James Beard Award with her recipes. In her final days, she held my hand and whispered, "They thought they were inheriting a business. You inherited a legacy. There's a difference." Every time Bethany drives past our full parking lot with her Marco's Modern Italian food truck, she has to see the line of customers wrapped around the building, waiting for a taste of something her child will never inherit. Tradition?